welcome to another episode of Living Room Wisdom, where your story is your glory. I am Patrina Wisdom, abundance activator, best-selling author, TEDx speaker, and founder of Pure Abundance Retreat. And I am so excited. Our guest today is Stefanie Blue. She's an amazing brand photographer here in the San Diego area, and I'm just really excited to introduce her to you today. So welcome, Stefanie. Welcome. She's got on all the blues. She's a mermaid, and I just love it. It's just so calming and soothing, as are you. Every time we've ever met, with these blue eyes that just suck you in. So I'd love for you to introduce yourself. However, I don't want you to just tell our audience what you do right now. I want you to kind of tell us who you are. Who is Stefanie Blue? Other than a mermaid.
Spoiler alert, the mermaid. But yeah, I'm usually behind the camera, and so what I realized is that since I was a kid, I have been an observer. I'm very curious. I'm very creative. I love originality. And so that's really kind of my essence, is just exploring. I have this sense of adventure, a little bit of wit, some humor, and all that good stuff. So really just love seeing what's out there and asking the question, what if?
Okay.
Yeah.
And so water is a big theme for you. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, are you a water sign?
I'm not. I'm a fire sign. I'm a
You're
Leo.
Fire sign. Okay.
And
yeah, you are.
So I actually can't swim.
Okay.
And I met someone once who was doing did crystal stone healing, and I kept messing with their rocks. And I went to this Labradorite one over and over, and she's like, oh yes, you have it. And she said people that gravitate towards that are believed to have lived in Atlantis in a previous life, and everything made sense then.
Wow, that is very interesting.
Yeah. And I do love being in a pool, and when I get zenned out. I'm pretty much worthless for work the rest of the day, but it just completely calms me.
Yeah, I can see that, right? If you're a fire sign, and then, so you would really attract and connect with everything water.
Yeah.
So tell me then, Miss Fire Sign, what has been the biggest challenge that you've experienced in your life?
How much time do we have?
Yeah, that part.
I think there have been numerous ones. I think early on, it was living in a home that was uber strict, very religious, but not, there was definitely something. There was the outside way that my family presented, and then there was what happened behind doors. And my dad really was the one who kind of said, children are to be seen, not heard. And artistic endeavors were not valued in the home. It was very much studying. So I think that was a big one. It, definitely had some impact. And then obviously I got out of school and stuff and attracted someone else who was very controlling and stuff, so just kind of understanding and realizing, and then saying, that's not for me, and being able to stand up and say, I'm making my own path has been a challenge. I mean, it was many
How long was
ago.
that journey though? Like what age were you approximately when you kind of found your voice and took that stand?
I would say probably in my early 20s.
Okay.
Late teens, early 20s.
Nice.
And then I had my son when I was 24.
Okay.
And all those patterns had to stop at that point. So, And my dad did teach me to kind of question authority, especially when I started going into the public school system, from being, Christian school, very much isolated. And he was really worried I would learn other things and stuff. So he's like, just because they're in a role of authority, you don't have to pay attention and stuff. And so when I actually used that logic to question some of what he taught me, that did not go over well and stuff.
Of course not, right? Use these tools in the outside world, but don't question me.
And
it's interesting.
So there was definitely a rift there for a number of years and stuff. But the good thing is I was able to find that voice and kind of speak out. And, sometimes people are like, oh, sorry you had to deal with that. And it's like, you know what? It made me who I am.
Exactly.
And I'm strong now because I was able to go through that and come out the other side. So
how has this we'll say challenge served you in your career? Because I can imagine you get a lot of people, most people, like their fear is public speaking, being on film, right? These sorts of things, because the camera really is the eye into the soul, right? We see people vividly when they're being captured in that way. So how has your background and your challenges served you in photography and all of the work that you do?
Yeah. Well, I did realize that kind of like all my favorite gifts at Christmas were always the ones that let me be creative.
Yeah.
So again, being that observer, because I was quiet and not to be doing the talking. So just kind of sitting back, watching everything, observing, being able to predict behaviors, being able to predict things in the environment. And so I think that's essentially what a photographer does. And then because I was so uncomfortable on the front of the camera, when people are sitting with me and I can see them struggling, I can feel it, and I'm just able to kind of work them through that, let them see stuff, and give them praise. Plus, I also got a degree in psychology and social work.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I work through all of that too, to have some of the soft skills that you need too. So I know some studios, it's just like turn here, do this, and they're out the door. But I really like work with people to get their personalities to shine through. We're not doing just pictures for your passport.
Yes.
We're actually getting to have your essence come out.
And so with that said, there's a lot of photography. There's a lot of different types of photographers out there. But Stefanie's specialty is brand photography and nature photography. So talk to us a little bit about how you found your niche in photography, and they're very different, right? There's the branding side, and then there's this nature piece. Tell us about that journey.
Yeah, so the branding piece actually evolved from doing networking, because when I came out from being a social worker, then I started working with families with their, the bellies and the bumps and stuff like that, and just kind of working with families in that sense. And once I started networking more, then it was kind of like they're people in their businesses, which were literally like babies, because they're very needy and you have to nurture them to grow. So that's how that happened. And once that was taking all of my time, then I still needed to recharge my own soul, and that's going out in nature. Okay. And so you can find me at the beach or the gardens or mountains, but that's where I get centered.
There was a time where I thought I would get into photography, and maybe one day I'll do it as a hobby, right? Yeah. Because I had this way of connecting behind the camera with nature, not people, nature. And I just I'm interested to find out from you, because there's one thing that you're giving when you're doing photography, but there's also, again, in the nature space, something you're getting. Yeah. And for me, one of the most profound photography experiences I've had as a novice is that when I was healing from the passing of my husband, and I went to Bali on a retreat. And the photos from the beginning of that retreat to the end of that retreat told a story. Yeah. So I'd love to hear from you on whether it's the branding side or the nature side. Like, what do you receive?
Yeah. When I'm working with people for the branding, it's definitely receiving that connection with them and getting to know them at a deeper level. And when I work with them over time, seeing them up level. Yeah. So that's kind of like watching your kids take their first steps, and just going on. So that's very rewarding. But with nature, it's like the animals I encounter and they come to me. Like my girlfriend calls me Snow White, because literally wild horses will come up to me. And deers and all kinds of stuff. So that's fun. But just even seeing things in a way that others don't, and then being able to share that. So whether it's the textures of like a palm frond or the colors and stuff like that, I see things a little differently. And then one of the techniques I use is called in-camera movement, where you slow the shutter down and actually move the camera as you're taking the photo.
That's all the technical pieces where I was like, maybe I shouldn't do photography.
Yeah, but it's beautiful because it makes it look like a painting.
Yeah.
And then people, like, you would never just look at something and say, oh, that's what that's going to look like. And it's different each time. So that has been really fun, because literally you are asking what if, and it's like, well, what if I went over here? What if I slowed it down even more and stuff? So it's just that complete creative process to create something that the eye can't even see.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a relationship.
Yeah.
It's a relationship with your camera. It's a relationship with nature. It's a relationship with yourself, all in one experience.
Right. Yeah.
Huh? That's super cool.
Sometimes when I'm writing, I'm just like, I saw this tree or I saw this agave plant and I ask it to dance.
Yeah.
Because I'm literally, just kind of moving and swaying, and it's a dance.
That's like a whole spiritual ritual in itself, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And it seems as if it keeps you very grounded.
Yeah.
Because you have a very grounded energy. Have you heard that before?
I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Without the religious component, it's almost this very I don't want to say nun, because people can take that in different ways, but it's a very divine presence and a very grounded presence that you have, and I can appreciate that. So here's my next question for you. Is there anything that you feel like you've reclaimed within yourself through photography, through your work, and through this journey of really owning your own voice and breaking free of kind of the control and things of that nature?
Yeah. I think a sense of purpose, a sense of identity for sure, to be okay as an observer, that it's not because someone put me in a corner, that it's, no, I like being back here and just seeing what's happening as the world goes by, and stuff like that, that it, just let it be a strength rather than, something that someone pushed on me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that so much, because I feel like we live in a world where everyone's competing to be the star. Yeah. Right? Like everyone feels like it's their obligation to step into the role of leadership or, be the spotlight or whatever, even when it's outside of their comfort zone. And one of my children struggles with that, right? And one of the things that I tell that particular child, who I'm not going to call out because everybody knows my children, and but one of the things that I tell that child is own your strengths. If you are a natural supporter and that's where you thrive, or if you're naturally an observer, then play to that strength, right? Because that's what you are called to. And there's so much value in that to the people who experience you. Right. So I absolutely love that you're owning your gifts, that you're owning who you are. If there's somebody out there who maybe had a similar struggle as you did growing up, or even who feels as if they are this observer, but maybe they're not in this space yet where they've owned it, is there anything you can offer that would help them to kind of break free of that?
I would say, if you can, to just kind of sum up your identity in 3 words, 3 to 5 words, and really see how they tie into your values. Also, make a list of all the different values and the ones that resonate with you. I think that's kind of really honed me in, not just for myself and how I feel about my own identity, but also with my brand, and because it has to be a natural extension. You can't have a brand that doesn't fit with everything else that you're doing and stuff. So I think just making the observation of what lights you up, and then just heading straight for that.
I love it. The clarity.
Yes.
And that's why when I randomly ask her to introduce herself, but not according to what she does, but who she is, that just rolled off your tongue, because you're connected and you know who you are. Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, I'm so excited and honored to have you here. This was a great conversation. I think there's tons of nuggets to be had from this interview, so definitely go back and subscribe and rewatch this interview. We're going to have more amazing interviews in this season with beautiful, intelligent, impactful women just like Stefanie. So for now, we're going to say au revoir, but thank you for tuning in to Living Room Wisdom, where your story is your glory. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll see you next week.